G'day, how you going? Ianapolis here, your acrylic guru, welcome. Here's my canvas size, and you'll also see the colours that I'm using going up the screen. Now I want a big shout out and thank you to Luca Florio for this reference picture. I'm going to show you the picture throughout this tutorial because it's going to be giving you insights on how to reference a picture onto your canvas. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you can paint. So stick around to the end. Let's go. So here's the picture by Luca Florio. Now, I'm showing you this for a couple of reasons. I want to show you how we're going to lay out. I've got the edge of this building here, there. We've got the bottom of that building there, of this building in the background there. I'm not going to put the Vespa in there. You can if you want or put anything, but I'm going to leave it out for the tutorial's sake. And this side building here, we're going to put these lines in there. So I'm going to show you by looking at this picture how high from the bottom, how high this archway is up, how far this is. I'm going to explain that on the canvas. So I'm looking at the reference picture. Now the bottom line is about this high off the bottom of the picture. So I'm not going to give a reference for this because in this tutorial I want you to learn how to lay something in, and this is quite achievable. Now this far from the right hand side is the other side of that building, but just bring that line all the way down for referencing, okay? And on the other side it's about this far in from the edge all the way up as well. Now this side here, if you look at this line here, we're coming down about this far, and then it's coming, there's the wall of the building, okay? And then from about the very edge, the door frame's coming up to about, let's say, this height. So I'm simply putting it up to there, and bring this straight across, and then down again, okay? Then this bottom bit, just bring it straight back in on there's a horizon line, let's say, bring it straight back in like that, and maybe there if you got something there. Now there also is a dark window that goes a little bit higher than there. Now these lines might be a bit crooked. You've straightened them up in your painting. I just want to get you to learn how to reference something in there like that. And you might have another one all the way off the painting coming up there as well, something dark. Now I'm going to map this in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Now from this point to about that far, we got the other window, and then the arched is about from that close to the edge to about out here. Now the height of it is about here, okay? So now I know I want to do me arch about that big. Now just start to make it a bit more geographically neater. Does that make any sense? And that's obviously going to be a double line. There's the height of that. Now this window over here is a little bit lower, which is about there to that height. So we're simply going to bring that into there. And then it's going to obviously have a darker windowed frame painted in there. This will have some corbelling up there somewhere, and our door, and so on. Now, this line is not going to be there in the painting. There is a shadow coming right across. This shadow, you need this shadow in there from about the top of that shadow line, about that far down, and all the way into this doorway here. It's coming across there like that. I'm just getting the shutters in now, so I'm pretty much mapping them in one big square. About the bottom of them is there, and the width of them is about that far from that wall, and this one's over here somewhere. Now I've got the height and the bottom. I'll put in the width of each one. That's about not quite far past that, and this one's pretty much in from there. So there's me two shutters there and here. Now we're going to paint the back section and bring everything forward first. That's how we're going to do it. If you want this reference picture to copy to help you along, message me. I will send it to you. Otherwise, I want you to try and do it without. Go by my tutorial here. Back to the reference picture again. Pretty earthy colours here. Got some red, brown colours here. Bits of grey here. All these colours that you've got available ready to mix up. Now I've found all my earthy colours that I feel I've got there. I even found a skin tone colour. I've got burnt umber, I've got smoked pearl, I've got yellow ochre, I've got raw sienna, I've got burnt sienna, and I've got some craft white. So I want to start with the craft white and just use a flat brush and then prime in the areas where I'm going to paint. But now you've drawn your picture on your canvas, you don't want to rub all that away. So what I'm going to do is just roughly, this is just rough, because everything we paint we're going to prime in this white. So we're pretty much going to block in around everything. Now that can dry, because we're going to use our earthy colours. Going by the reference, I want to start, let's say, from the left, leaving this front, that's the front building, leaving that out. Starting from the left, and why I'm doing it this way is so when I paint the other subjects in there, they'll be painting on top of it. So I've pretty much got the same brush. Now what I will do is I'll start with probably the medium colour and then add the darks and the lights within that. So I'm going to pretty much go for this raw sienna, and I'm going to paint all this area here in that colour. So pretty much I'll come from about here on the window looking at the reference. Now I'm not going to look at the reference and think, oh, it's there, not here. I'm just going to give it to that sort of vibe all the way down here and pretty much down all that side of the door. Now you can see why I painted the white. I mean, you can see why I've dried the white, because this will be just mudding up with it. Now see my bottom line, I can go beyond that, because when I put that in, I can cut it back to it. Now if you want, like I said, paint your whole canvas in some craft white first, just so as you're not painting directly onto the raw linen canvas. And out here, I'm just going to simply do this. See, the other colour will blend back into that, scrumble back in. And this is going to be a beautiful different painting that you might be used to. I'm not sure. A lot of you might not have done something like this, but you'll get a lot of satisfaction. Now you can let each colour dry. Doesn't have to be 100% dry, but let it dry. Now while we're letting that dry, I'm going to pick up some grey. And we're going to obviously need 3 values of grey. So down that line there, we're going to just do the mid value of the grey all on this side, because we want the 2 colours to merge. We don't want to do this colour first and try and blend the other one in over that one when it's already completed. So we're pretty much going to get this just blocked in. Now with this bit here, I'll get it to there, like my window there. Flat brushes are good for getting against lines. And against that colour there, I'll wiggle it to that colour, right? Watch what I'm doing here. And then I'm getting a lot of the build up off the brush down here. Then I'm going to sneakingly come back over here and then just sort of push that with that earthy colour there. Scrumble it, push it. And when we add the darker and lighter values, everything's just going to look, oh wow, goodness, I love it vibe, all about it. Now we're getting these colours together. Scratch it in. You might have to bring some of that colour back into the grey if you've lost too much of it. Just stand back, analyse your work. Beautiful stroking type of painting this. It's just, I love it. Now just for those who might think, well, I lost too much of my red, I'll pick up a bit of that again without washing the brush and simply dot some of that back in like so. Just like this, where up here somewhere maybe. Get rid of the big blobs. wipe your brush and just scrumble them together so it looks like rustic Venetian style. There we go. Now that's the colour that's up there. I'll get maybe a little bit of this in there. And then I want to start putting the highlights in there. So I'm going to get a bit more darker and then a bit more darker. Then I'll use the highlighty colours. Now I'm just going to, I don't know, kind of make some kind of gestures like this, up and down like that. Not too far everywhere, just bits and bobs. Bit coming here. Just like this. See what I'm doing? Watch this whole video so you get a gist of what's going on. So when you play back and paint along, you'll get an idea of where you want to go with your work. Something here. Don't try and copy every brush stroke I'm doing. I'm just giving you an idea what you can do, because you can do it. That's enough of that colour. Wash your brush. Now I think I'll grab some of this skin tone. I don't need much of it. Look how much I've put out of the tube. I'll get bits and bobs here. Work out on the reference where dark values and lighter values are as well, so as you don't put darks and lights in the wrong spot, because this colour I can see in the reference, it's kind of dotted on like this here and there. There's a lot of it sort of here. I'm just doing like letter H's and underlining stuff like so. Bit down here. Now I will add some of this smoky pearl to that, because if you don't have smoky pearl, add a bit of white or find the colours you have. You might not have the exact same as me, and that'll be the vibe of yours. So like here I'm doing, can you see over there? I'm doing pretty much H's, underlining stuff like that. Another H here, underline there. That's the sort of vibe that that's the sort of brush behaviour that I'm doing. This can come out there. Bit of a bob out there. I want some of this yellow ochre in there, and I might have to add some lighter colours into this as well. Find your little spots and see what I just done? I leant on there. That's where you need your mouse stick. Get bits of this in there. Look at that, beautiful, rich. I'm happy with the earth colours that I've got available here. Some of that in that colour. You'll get used to, in your art journey, you'll get used to doing brush movement behaviours, and you'll like a certain way, and that'll become your habit, and your habits is what creates your art style, the look of your art. So when someone looks at your art and they go, that's a such and such painting, they know that because they're used to your habits. Your habits, I feel, is what creates your style. Now I'm going to get the white and mix it just to get some highlights here and there now. Some highlights there, something right about there. Beautiful. Now I've got me grey here. It's a bit darker than that, so what I will do is I'll make a lighter value, so just grabbing some more of this white, making a lighter value grey. So we'll get a bit of black, pull a pile over here, this will be the darker pile, and we add a bit of black to that. We don't need too much dark. I've got a lot of grey there because I just squeezed the living buggery out of the tube I had to empty it. There we go. So we've got our dark, medium and light greys. So we've got our medium there. I want to get just some of this a bit more medium And I'm looking at the reference, I can see a lot of this colour within it. So what I want to do is pull some of this over here, this smoked pearl. Get a bit of this grey in there. And vibe that up as well. Oh, that's a bit too much grey, but no, that's going to work. And start now with getting bits of this. Come over there, up there a bit. Filtered in with all this broken up plastered wall there, this Venetian style. So we've got that base grey under there. So bits of every colour is showing through. This is just, I've never painted this painting before, but I'm pretty sure, common sense is telling me, it's going to work once it's finished. Down here we've got lots. That was simple, you can do that. Now we'll grab the medium colour, which is this one. Here, all the way down this side of the wall actually. Dark, because that other one coming in front, it'll obviously create that depth. That's why it's important to know what colours go where. Down here, what I'm doing is getting it off my brush just so I can bomb that out a bit. There we go. Now I haven't dried anything here, so it is very wet still. You can dry it as you go. There's not really a lot more of this colour down there. Now that smoked pearl, I think I'll use the raw sienna there. Mix some of that, get a lighter value of that going, what looks like it is in the reference picture there. Some of this is going to be darker up here, darker vibes of it. Mainly under here now, this colour's coming through and starting to scatter out here from that area. Just like crisscrossing it, like I said, like sort of like a hashtag. Now I'm finding down here it's got more of the, I'm just putting a little bit of the burnt umber into that. See what I'm doing? I'm just pulling it into that same pile. Because the reference picture, I've changed it. It was a photograph, but I've changed it on my computer to look like an oil brushed painting. Because that's what I wanted to use as a reference. I didn't want to use the actual photograph. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Getting some of this up there, some of it's scattered in here. So I'm going to grab a bit of white and mix with that. And simply, there we go, come over here. Going back to the grey, I want to just accentuate the darker. So I'm picking up the darker grey that I mixed, and I want to come right off this corner here, something like that. And just looking down somewhere there. That window, which is here, it's going to have a nice dark something there. And that's pretty much it. Now that's the actual photograph. It's very sharp, but I didn't want to use that as a reference. So in my Photoshop, I converted it to an oil brushed look, okay? Because that's what I wanted to use as a reference. I wanted that blurry, smeared sort of vibe going, so as I know I can just emulate that onto my canvas. Now I'll block in the shutters. I'll pick up my white and then use this to cut the edges in to the size you want, just so we can put our turquoisey greeny colour on there. While I'm at it, I'm just simply going to do the other openings as well, block them in. See how the square brush can cut in beautifully once you know how to use them. Now those of you with a really good eye, you might notice some of my canvas is starting to buckle. That's because half of it's painted and the other bit isn't. Normally I paint the whole lot, but that's what's causing it to taunt and buckle. Now I've got turquoise. I want to make it a bit greener, so I'm just going to simply add some cadmium yellow. And I want to get the colour for the whole shutter there mixed. Then from that I'll make a darker value and a lighter value. There we go, we've got our darker colour there. Now I'll pick up some of this and I'll start blocking in my top shutters with this colour here. So I'm going to do one on camera right across that white. See how it's showing its true form. If you painted this over a dark colour, depending on what quality paints you got, it might not show its true form. And it's that easy using a flat brush. Look at this, my hands are not steady. I have people going, you got steady hands, Ian, but like hell I have. They're not steady at all. Right across there. Using a flat brush, cutting in the corners. Now I want to show you a little trick as well. Some of you might know it, some of you might not. That side of the brush is loaded up. Don't just sit it there and hope for the best. Start on its tip, and as you go along, as you're going along, you're going to slowly push the paint onto the canvas. Let's see if it's going to work. So now as I'm going along, I'm slowly laying this brush down and it's keeping the paint until it starts wearing. Now it's really flat. There we go. So you start there and then you gradually push the brush down as you go, instead of it just breaking away into nothing. Okay, we got one done. Now I'm going to do the other one off camera so I don't bore the living buggery out of you. Now that's dry. I'm going to get a bit of yellow into that colour and just smear over it, just so as we can get that look of some faded paint before we put the dark slats in there. So I'm grabbing some yellow and just mixing into that now, getting it a lot brighter. Start from the top. I don't want too much of this on there, so I'll get a bit of it off the brush. And I want to just gingerly, look how much I'm putting on there, not much at all. Very little. Just to give it that vibe of some kind of faded paint. Oh, this one's heavier. So you'll get an idea, one's heavier and one's lighter, what vibe you would like. Now I'm grabbing the darker colour on a smaller flat because I want to be able to get lots of slats like this in there, okay? So I'll get it to the right I'll get it to the right inky consistency. And why I've used a smaller one, because I can get them to the width of the panel. So we got about there, all the way down, which is there. Find that right pressure. If you press too hard, they'll look like that. You don't want them to look like that. Put some dignity and pride in your work. Find out the equal distance. I'm going in that way a bit, so I feel I've got to come back this way. I will do the other one off camera, that way you won't get bored to buggery. Now with the lighter colour you mix with the yellow, I'm just gradually sinking them back, scratching up the centre here. That way if there's any uneven edges of those slats, this will sink them backwards behind, so they look like they're in the door. And we're pretty much using this to make the frame of the door. Hopefully it's going to work. Just like that. Now I want to get these two doors in, so I'll use the burnt umber, which is here, and pretty much the thickness of that arch, because that arch has got to be over this. That's why I'm putting this on first. So we're going to make our arch, try and get your arch reasonable. It's rustic, so you can get away with it being a little bit crooked. So I'm going in order so everything can be cut and sat back on top of what's behind it. That's why I'm doing this section first of the door. Now I'm just going to stroke out those lumps and bumps. This will have all different values in it as well. This one here, we're going to do the frames first, the glass first. And we want the medium value, which is about here. I'll mix it with some of that, just to paint in the glass for the bottom door there. So it's pretty much here, all the way. Doesn't matter if you don't get the middle bit in there, but it's quite about there. That's the area where the glass is going to be. Knowing that's that line down there, so we get to stop there, we don't have to go all the way. That's reasonable, it doesn't have to be neat, because the brown we do like that is going to cut it in. Now we want a bit of really light, brighter colour of that. So simply grab the lighter grey and add a lot more white to it. There we go. So I've got the white. I'm going to slowly add that to it because I don't want it white. There we go. It's dry, so I know I've got let's say there's a brown pane there. This is kind of coming just like that, and a nice blob there like that, something like that. And a bit of a scurry one there, and just some vibes of it in there. Getting some of it there. Now I'm scrumbling it in. I'll get some of the darker bit there, just to get different values within this glass here. This will dry darker. Something like that. Grabbing the medium tone grey, and the top half of this door is pretty much medium. Somewhere about there. So this is all medium. Now I'm going to grab the darker velvet. I'm just simply going to wipe that brush. I'll grab some of the darker grey. And then it's kind of got those glasses like that in there. So I'm just kind of doing it in that sort of fashion. But I'm not turning to the left. Okay, there we go. I've got some of that darker grey in there. Now I'm actually putting a lot of black within some of that same grey on my brush. And I want some of it right around here, the edge here. So it'll sit back deep once I put that frame in there, bits along here as well. Now we'll finish that door off, so I'm going to grab simply some more white just to lighten up that burnt umber that I got there. I want a lighter value, not too light though. I don't want it really bright. There we go, about that value, just to paint in that door now. So I simply want to come across the top like so, and then just pull it down. It's all scratchy and rustic. There we go, just like that, getting the top done. Get a bit more. So I'm just coming up the door now. Just like this on top, leaving the darks there. I'm just scratching over it in this grade. See, like that? Try and make them the same length though. There we go. And then we'll just simply grab the darker burnt umber. Down here you can see I put a little bit of black with it, just to kind of make a just very gingerly like that, all the way across, leaving a gap in the middle, all the way across like that. And then we're simply going to come down this side here, very gingerly, very gingerly. There we go. Up the top here. I have dried it. And then this is going to come about there, very gingerly. Like that. There we go. And it does have a distinct, let's put a dark handle there on each door. Now grabbing that dark burnt umber mixed with the black, we're simply going to block in this window now. See what I'll do, I'm going to start from there. I'll put a dot there. I'll back up here. My peripheral vision, I'm looking at this part of the paintbrush, right? This is how you get a reasonably straight line. But my peripheral vision is looking at that dark dot there. And I know now I can just come down, bang, I met up with it, not a problem at all. Get this to the width that it looks like within the reference, so it just sort of looks the part. About that wide. This is darker than the arched door. Any little bits of white spots that don't belong, use your Dignity license and get rid of them. I'll get it level. See how nervous I am? I'm not the... Whoa. I'm grabbing some black, mixed with what's in my brush, a little bit of that, really darkening it up. Just to get the bottom panel. So in line with that, there's about a panel here. In line with that, there's about a panel there. And it pretty much comes around like that. See this corner? You want to come down from it a bit. Just bring it up to there like that. I'm just using a raw sienna and just gingerly come down to that frame. Just about that far out. And hopefully, or with a bit of luck, this will look like it's going in the recessed area for the doorway. I got a little bit of this colour mixed with some white, just to put some very scratchy, some light just hitting those darker panels in there very lightly. Little things like this help your painting immensely. Okay, everything can dry. Have a cup of tea, make yourself some lunch. And we're going to block in the bottom first, and then these side bits on top of the bottom. Before I do that, I'm grabbing the smoked pearl colour. I forgot to do the arch of the arch doorway. And let's sit this arch on now. So and look at more. All up there, that dark but pieces, cut it in. Cut it back, look. This is right on top of it. That's why I did that bit first. Grabbing some bits of the grey with that now, the lighter grey, looking at the reference and kind of doing this. There's a corbelling right off there somewhere, so I'll get that looking the part. Just got some darker greys here. So I'm picking up the burnt umber that had some of the black in it. I've just done a bit here. I'm just looking at the reference, little bits down there. That way this just won't look so floaty in our painting. That's that corbelling. I want to grab this medium value of grey and simply find your bottom line, which was about here to here, and get that straight. Use masking tape if you feel you want to use masking tape. From here, we're going to just block it in, and where'd that bit go? That's that bit of the wall, the floor there, so I'll block it in like so, to there. And then this is just all the floor. Block this in this medium grey. Now that can have a dry, I'm going to grab some of the lighter value grey on the same flat brush and just make my own vibe of the floor. Just going to make my own vibe of it like this. Just like that. Playing with your brush. Do a bit of brush play. There we go. That can be dried, and then we can put that distinct shadow going right through it. So I'm going to grab the lighter grey, and we want to just... This bit here is where that doorway is, so it's going to come from there up to this far from underneath the door, from about there, and it's about that thick. And it's going all the way to the corner of that wall, which is coming down there, and then down a little bit more, which is about there. So this will come willy-nilly there, just sort of level but zigzaggy or straightish. It's got whoopsie-doos in it. And it's kind of coming around here. Brush that light casting across the road there. I'm stroking the brush strokes in the direction of the shadow, so the brush strokes are going to be quite authentic to the painting, I suppose. Right in there, right in there. There is simply something like a dark manhole somewhere about here, so I'll just get that kind of in there. So here we are. It's looking okay, but you can be excused for thinking something's not quite right. Once we bring these forward ones in, that's going to frame it and finish it off. I'm simply going to map it in with my smoked pearl. So I'll start from here, coming all the way down. Now we can simply put in our other values to frame it and finish it off. Okay, it's important, I forgot to do it. I stepped this bottom line, it was straight. I stepped it back in to the bottom of the door. Now I'm going to get this area here right. See this corner here, right here, this apex? Grab the raw sienna on a flat brush, find the corner, which is there, that's the corner, the apex, and to about the height of this door, somewhere about there-ish, comes straight across to about there. To about there. Now this has got to be from down here to that apex, got to be a straight line. Okay, everything's dry, I hope it is. And that's going to come in, get it right against that grey. There we go. And then just brush this in, scratching some burnt umber within it as well, making it kind of marbly type. Getting that in there. See, I've just pushed it on, getting rid of that colour there. I want this very inside corner here dark. There we go. And I'm just going to pivot over all those little tooth marks from the canvas. And we've got a window. It's going higher than that door. So it's about, let's say about that high. And it's coming all the way down to off the floor a bit. So we're coming there and then coming for the top bit of it there. Get your paint reasonably inky, but not too inky. And then this is just vibing down. Get it to there. I'm not a left-hander, so I have to use two hands. It doesn't matter if it's crooked. That's the vibe of the painting. And from that, like we did here, come from there like that, and it'll give you that illusion that it's in there type of thing. And there's one higher up. I've just put one higher up here. Now I want some of the grey. It's just all grey bits and bobs. Bit of it sinking in there as well. Dry your work if it's too wet. Raw sienna. Bits and bobs of that, probably just scraping along this edge, coming back into the building there as well in my fashion. I'm just trying not to turn to the left though if I can help it. So we're going to use the burnt sienna a bit more into that and a bit of the greys. So come up there, I want to come down like that. All the way down, continue it down so it's a different body in front of all what's behind it. Grabbing some of the skin colour, little bits of that. Addressing in there like so. About there, all the way down. And adding the grey, the middle value grey. It's mainly grey, this building, so all that stuff we just put on there is the inside colour, so we're just like this. I'm looking to the side here, got a bit of that dark green, so I'm going to use some of that greeny stuff we had. And we've just got from about here, just some kind of vine, tree, Tuscany vibe things that they have going on over there, coming on the buildings. There's my tape there, so I'm staying to the edge of the tape. I'm just sort of skewing it out there a bit randomly here and there. Some areas of this that I just put on there, leaving the darks in there. It's just rough. I'm grabbing a lot more yellow, just slightly mixed with that, and then just maybe really just finding something that's setting things back. This can come around a bit like a terracotta pot. Just to give that a bit of a, I don't know, something. There's like a round thing on the wall here. It must be some kind of pipe, sewer pipe or a vent or something. There's one there and there's something down the bottom here as well. So we'll put things like that in there. There's bits of dark stuff like here. You know, the bolts that hold these walls together to the floor. I know when I've worked on some old buildings like this, they have bolts going through holding the wall plates that house the flooring. Sign this down here. And I want to thank my patrons and my YouTube members who support me every month. Much appreciated. Check out all my links in the description below. Share, like and subscribe if it's your first time here. Okay, let's whack a frame on that and see how she looks. Yeah, that's not too shabby. A Tuscany vibe, a Tuscany street. Just understand what's in front and what's behind each other. And I know you can do it. Well, I had a lot of fun doing that. I hope you enjoyed the show. Tell your friends if you like what you saw, but if you didn't, you tell everybody. Check out this other video of mine. It's not bad. Goodbye, good luck, and good on you.